What's up, guys? This is Void of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content, and today I've got one of the first support beginners guides in this whole universe. I decided to do something on Alice, as this is part of the Arena of Valor program, and first of all I want to go with you through the abilities and the skills that she has. Afterwards we're going to take a closer look on the build that I've been playing with her, and then I've got 15 minutes around like that on actual gameplay so that you can see her in action. First of all, I want to start with some kind of verdict on Alice. When are you guys going to use her? She's more sorts of a support character that's really going to shine if your team is doing good. You are dependent on what other heroes do. This is basically true for most of the support heroes, but for example, if you take Mina or you take Omega, they can be a little bit better on themselves. Alice needs a strong AD carry or a warrior next to her or a jungler in order to make her work. So if your team is doing good, she's basically doing it better. If your team is not doing it good, then she is actually not the best support hero ever. But we're going to find out when I show you through all the abilities that she has, and this is what we're going to start with. So first of all, she's got a passive, which just means when she casts a skill, her movement speed is increased by 20% for 2 seconds. This reminds us a little bit of the Crixie beginner's guide that I've done lately. So basically whenever you do something, you are a little bit faster, which is actually quite nice, and it's nothing that you need to learn. It's always there. You don't need to build around it, you don't need anything to stack up. Whenever you cast a spell, her movement speed is increased by 20%. That's that. So this is actually quite useful because it just means that you can basically follow up a little bit easier, or you can get out of danger a little bit easier if that is something that the situation is all about. Her first skill is called Stunning Glow. She unleashes the power of the sun at the target location, dealing a little bit of magic damage. It's not too crazy, 625 plus 86% of ability power. But the important thing is you're going to stun an enemy for 1 second, and that's your bread and butter. This is something that you always want to inflict whenever it's in the lane or in the team fights to get rid of pesky targets. So this means that for 1 second the enemy can't do anything, and this is actually really useful if you are following up or if your AD carry is positioning him or herself and there is an open window to fire. So you should always try to land this on heroes, because otherwise this skill is not really that great, because it's got a really short area of effect bubble, and therefore you need to just hit it, because otherwise it's a miss and you will use mana, and the cooldown is actually quite long with 8 seconds. So this is important to kind of anticipate where the enemy is about to move, and you should always use it for the AD character. Sometimes it's important to block movement for the support as well, so this is kind of a really versatile spell. Her friendship skill, she grants enemy heroes as well a shield and increases their movement speed, but she also increases her movement speed. So this is kind of like a double thing that you get. So you will get a little bit of a shield. It's stacking with ability power, and therefore we're building a lot of ability power. It's not your usual build that you will see on most of the supports where you're going super tanky. This is more an ability power base build, but you're going to see that in about a second. But this is really helpful for following up, so you can boost all your team with a speed buff and a nice little shield. Like, the shield is nothing to write home about, it's just like a nice thing that everyone will get, but it's not something that will save the entire group, but it's there, so we're going to take it. The speed buff is something that you are going to like, actually, because it just fuels up your whole team, and the cooldown is coming from 12 seconds to 9. It's still quite long if you want to use it constantly, but we're going to take it as it is granted. Something really crazy is the concealing box, which is her ult. She is summoning a circle. You can see that whenever you pull the spell to a certain direction. Something that's new, coming from one of the later from one of the latest patches is that now she deals damage, which is 400 plus 80. So that's actually okay-ish. Like, we're going to deal continuous damage as well, so you're actually dealing damage. But the most important thing is that the enemy heroes are silenced for 1 second, their movement speed is reduced, and they will continue to suffer the movement penalty after the first initial bubble has been placed. So this is a denial spell, and you're going to deny a whole area to the enemies where they can't do shit and they can't get out of it. So what you're going to do with it, you're going to place it on a really important field or a really important position on the battlefield, and you are going to basically nullify everything that the enemies will do. You are going to reduce the movement speed, so the follow-up is even better for your people, and especially if you're going to grant them movement speed with the second ability. If you land the first ability on top of that, that's like the icing on the cake, but she's some sort of denial character. And because her damage is not really that great, she really needs assistance, and that's what we're going to talk about when there is the actual gameplay. So these are her spells. I think it's pretty decent, but nothing to be completely afraid of if you're playing against Alice. Equipment-wise, as you can see, because of the AP scaling, I decided to go with the support item, which is the water-based one. You can build it whatever you need. Sometimes I use the shielding, sometimes I use the cleansing. It really depends on what your enemy team is going to take and what the enemy composition is looking like. Have been picking Enchanted Kicks, Barreth's Agony. So this is some kind of mage damage build, so this is something that you should keep in mind if you struggle, because you get a lot of damage on her, and I think it, for my experience, it's actually quite easy to just avoid damage because she's so fast and nimble. You can always put in some tank items, but this is something that I had a good experience with, which you're going to see right on in the gameplay. But yeah, this is really focused on getting the damage onto the opponents. To kind of balance that, I decided to take my mage tank build, because otherwise I think she is really short HP'd. Therefore, we're going to get at least 800 max HP with some magic penetration, some movement speed and stuff like that. That comes from 10 times Nomad. That is the stuff where we're going to take some power from. Then we've got Reliever, which was Benevolence before. And then we're going with the Paladin, which was Valence before. So they changed the names, but the effects still stay the same without any changes in here. So this is my Arcana setup. And in terms of the enchantments, I decided to go with the Sanctum of Light with some mana refill here. We've got the River Treader, which is now Ripple Step. What the hell? We've got Fast Healing, which was Nature's Growth, Nature's Gift, Nature's Regrowth before, and we've taken Holy Thunder, which still stays the same, as well as Consecrated now has another name, but you get the stuff. You will get some crit chances from that, some magic PS from that, not the crit chances. So I don't know why they changed the names. I think they wanted to have it more globally, but it's kind of confusing, but it doesn't really matter. Talent-wise, you can go either with, I would say, Flicker or the healing ability. Flicker is there if you want to kind of get out of situations a little bit more reliantly, but I would go with the healing, because the healing just means that you've got more support for your AD carry. The problem about that is that you can't take Enfeeble, because it reduces the damage from the enemies, but you're not really a damage dealer, so you shouldn't be in the thick of fights anyways. You are there to just throw out your stuff and then get back to safety, and that's what we're going to see in the upcoming gameplay. If you like this kind of beginner's guides and you take some usage of that, of course a like is always highly appreciated, because it helps me to grow my channel. And if you want to see more videos like that, just hit the subscription button and put on the notifications bell to not miss any of my videos. And if you've got something to say, some thoughts on Alice, some thoughts on the game as well, just use the comment section below and feel free to put your thoughts in there. So this is this. Let's get started with some gameplay. Alright, here we go, and as you can see, we've got a pretty decent layout. Unfortunately, we don't have a tank, and I thought that this might be something that will be a little bit sweating us down in the later stages of the game. I'm not a tank. That's something that you need to take into consideration as well. So Alice is a support character, but she hasn't got any tanking capabilities. She's more sorts of a utility hero, and so I guess that's something that needs to be highlighted, because you are not going to shield your team from any harm. But I tried to play her quite aggressively, and as you can see, we already got one of the first kills in the game, not the first blood, but I led my Violet to get one of her first kills so far. Now Yue is there. Oh, that was so well timed. I don't know how I did it. I think I put that template in the right corner and therefore it hit, but this is something that you need to practice, and you need to practice for good, because that's just something that Alice is going to be needing whenever you play her. And as I said, if you have a good AD character, like if your ADC is doing good, then you can do and have a good game, but otherwise it's going to be a little bit difficult, because she's actually not a damage dealer for herself, and she's not a tank. So this is kind of a niche situation. She's more sorts of a Sephira, so she's more based on utility, enabling your team to do things, so she's more of a team sorts of character, but this is going to give her a hard time in the laning phase, because she can't really do anything by herself. Like, I had one game where I was about to deal damage and support one of my towers on my own. Didn't work. It didn't work out in any kind of way, because you are not dealing any sorts of damage if you don't use your skills, and that's something which is always a bummer, because it just means that you can't hold anything by yourself. Like, even just the 3 minions that are going to approach your tower, even if the cannon minion is not there, you will still have a hard time, because her auto attacks are not really powerful. Her spells are kind of singly used. It's not really that great of an area that the effect will land on, and therefore you need to time everything quite right, and it's always good to have some support. And I think that's the drawback that you will face if you're playing Alice, because it just means that on your own you can't really do anything. So now we're trying to zone on Arthur, and it actually worked out fine. Like, I was really blessed with the Violet that I've been playing with, and the good thing is that the opposing team had an Alice on their selves. So basically it's Alice versus Alice, and we've got Yue versus Yue and Vera versus Vera, and the opponents already have been skipping the lanes, so now you can see that Hayate is on the bottom lane. But now check the wave clear. Bam, bam, bam. What I did here, I was trying to get away from the tower in order to kind of make it work for my team, and kind of drag the damage away from the tower, just by using myself as a body block for this kind of situation, because otherwise they would have still been on the tower. Now I need to get back. Oh my goodness, Yue is just dealing so much damage, and we don't have anything to play against her. So you will see me getting back into the base and recalling to get some health back again a lot of the times. At least now we've got the Tidal Force cleansing. I think cleansing is not super important here, so I was taking the barrier just to be kind of prepared for Yue's damage when she's incoming stuff. Good thing is that the enemy team is not looking that great, so they have 5 kills less than we do, and I think that's actually a good start. And that's a situation where Alice can really shine. So I kind of like her playstyle. I think it's really funny when you are just denying things. But I think it's kind of hard if you want to climb ranked battles or you are in the solo queue, because you are really dependent on an AD carry who knows what he or she is doing. So this is kind of making her a little bit complicated, and in hindsight, or not only in hindsight, but from all the games that I've played, I think there are better support heroes that are a little bit more self-sufficient without spending too much item stuff on things that make it a little bit better, because some of those heroes just work for themselves. So, for example, take Wonder Woman. great solo laner, but you can play her in the dual lane as well, and you can just leave her alone. Like, if the AD carry wants to roam, if the AD carry wants to look for team fights, you can just leave Wonder Woman there, and she will be able to not only protect the tower, but she will be able to kill things, even if you put her in tank mode. That's just how she works. Arduin is the same. Arduin is even better because Arduin is one of the heroes who is a tank, and he got the damage. Even if you built him tanky, he got the damage to actually make him work. I shield my Vera here so that she can get a little bit quicker away from the tower, so I think that has been really nice from me. Oh my god, there's Yue again. But we are really ripping them apart. 9 kills already after 6 minutes. Dominating Violet. Now I need to be there for her in order to get it. And this was just the perfect combination. I hit him with the ult. And now I even killed him. So I thought Violet was going to do that. But as I needed some stuff to go on and I needed some gold, it was a pleasant thing to do. So don't blame me, it was just there. Actually, the enemy team is not looking that great. Like, my gold does not look that great either, because we're not farming so much. We're roaming around all the time. If you want to roam, for example, like if that's something that you like to do and you've got the possibility to do, you can always go with the Hercules boots. The Hermes boots? I don't know if they still have that name because they changed so much, but there are boots that give you a little speed buff if you have not been in a fight for a couple of seconds, and that makes her a better roamer, but you need to decide for yourself. If you struggle with the damage, you can also go with for example the Sonic boots, or you can always take the Gilded Greaves and again another double kill. I think that it was because I was there and I helped her to fight that fight in order to make it work. Now we've got the red buff, so our lane is looking really good. Violet is just carrying the shit by herself, and I tried to help her a little bit by clearing a tower, but as I said, you're not really doing any damage. Like, even with the build that is completely tweaked around magic damage to actually get our spells to work, it's still a little bit of a bummer because it's not good. And I think that is something that you need to keep in mind as well. So I said that she's not really that self-sufficient because she always needs some kind of babysitter. I mean, she's good at babysitting as well, so that's kind of like a balance in between. But if you take Arduin, for example, you are building tank items and health items because Arduin needs them in order to perform and to maximize the effect of his skills, because his skills need a little bit more HP. So that's fine. With Alice, you need to build her on magic damage so that her abilities are scaling, but you are a supporter, so attack or ability power is not something that actually comes into your mind when you are thinking about building her. So I don't know, it just feels really awkward. And we had been super lucky that the enemy team was not really pushing so hard, because otherwise I think with Hayate and Yue and another Alice, they could have just ruined our day. But we kept the pressure high right from the beginning of the game, and that's how I like to play my Alice. You should always be really up front. You should be the one who is leading the action into the enemies, putting down your spells, enabling team fights whenever you can with your ultimate, shielding enemies, shielding your people with your second ability, putting down the ultimate just to deny anything for about 6 seconds. And as you can see, it works fairly well, because now we've got already 7 assists and 2 kills. And this kind of days makes it really funny to play against enemy heroes, because this kind of moment, that 1 second, is usually enough for people like Violet to just put their spells into the game, and you can just easily try to run away. Look at that Arthur, he doesn't stand a chance. And I won't move back, because he's not really a threat to me. I don't really care about it, because he's just too weak. Like, he's not going in which I think he should. But he's not really committing himself, so that always gave us a good window to open up the fights and get back. Now we need to get back to base. Let's get back to base, boy. This is something that we really need to do right now. Now we're building a Styro down, which gives us even more power, which and enhances our scaling even more. But it's just really awkward to play her like that. Now we're third best person in terms of the gold after we've been fifth. Ooh, it's really going to tell you something. So, alright, this is 4 minutes to play, so we've got all the time in the world. Another kill for me, another ultimate, and we just stopped Hayate in his tracks with ease. And now as Vera is about to close in on the tower, of course we are going to roam to her, so mobility is key. You should always look out for possibilities where you can support your team. I'm about to get that tower, I don't know why. And I thought that Yue would be the opposing Yue, not my Yue. Oopsie, but it doesn't really matter because now we are closing in. Ultimates land down perfectly. We do get another assist here, which was really nice. 2 deaths only, but I guess with 5 deaths, 2 deaths is quite much. And now we are about to close in on another tower. There's another Elicit here. And we got ultimate in 3 seconds. And now I try to not waste it, but the cooldown is actually really nice. Like, it's really comforting you. So it's 21, 22 seconds. I do get another tower shot, but I don't really care about it. And now we're closing in on the inner gate. Alice is there, silencing me, so I need to get back to base, because otherwise I'm not going to fight any of those fights. Stacking the Staff of Newell. I think Staff of Newell and stuff like that is actually quite questionable, because it's not really going to increase what you did, but I think it makes sense in terms of you already have been building a mage damage build. So if you are stacking ultimate and your first ability on top of each other, you are actually contributing to the team fights in terms of you're still doing damage, especially to those low armor, low magic resistance targets. And I think that's when this build actually shines. Whenever I build her quite tanky, I had the opinion that you're not doing anything at all, like nothing at all. Okay, this was the most wasted ult in all of the team fights, but we can daze him, we can shield our team. Now comes Yue, we're going to kill him. Unfortunately, this was not intended to do, but now we've got 4 kills. So I think in the end, we might even end up with more kills than some of my teammates have, because we just kill secured them so consequently. And this is basically game. Yeah, this is 14 minutes played and we just won the game. And I think it was just won because of the good combination between Violet and Alice. Otherwise that would have not made that much of sense. And as I said, she's a really good support character if your team is already winning. But if your team is on the downside and you're going to lose the game, I don't think that she is of any kind of use. If you take a closer look on other support heroes, you always need to compare them, and I think that's the most important thing. It's the comparison between different characters, so there might be better all-around choices than Alice. So it's kind of my verdict. I mean, we played really well, second best result here. Violet was just doing great with 14 kills, but this is this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys took something from it, and if you did, as I said, thumbs up and have a good evening. Bye.